Hello dear students. In the last lecture we have started literature as imitation, the topic from second unit of literary criticism. And in that lecture we also understood what are Plato's views about literature in his theory of mimesis. So as we have understood that in his theory of mimesis, Plato says that poetry or literature is copy of idea, because Plato was idealist and he believed only in ideas, and he thought that what we see with our eyes in this world is the copy of idea, and idea is only original, and all the things or even the art is also copy of the idea. In Plato's view, imitation or mimesis means, mimesis is a Greek word and its meaning in English is imitation. So in Plato's view, imitation means just copy, photographic representation. As we take photo of anything and it looks as it is, there is no change. So what Plato says that when a literary writer or any artist, um, what he does, or he in his art, what he does, he copies idea, and he does not do anything original. So he blamed poetry, that or the poets or the writer, that they are liars, they are telling us false things. And on this on the basis of his views, Plato tried or Plato blamed poetry on three grounds. And what are his we also known that how Plato compared poetry with philosophy, and he told, or he said that philosophy is superior to poetry, because philosophy tells us ideas, and poetry tells us lies, or poetry only just copy makes the copy of the ideas. That's why philosophy is superior, according to Plato, superior to poetry. Okay. Next we shall try to understand what are the three grounds on which Plato blames or accuses poetry. That is philosophical ground, moral ground, and emotional ground. So on the philosophical ground, what Plato says? Plato says that poetry is the imitation of reality, and for Plato, imitation means photographic representation or copy, and it is twice removed from the truth. It only gives the likeness of a thing in concrete, and the likeness is always less than real. So poets tell us lies, and they should be banished from the ideal, from his ideal state. Now, what Plato says, that what poetry is twice removed from reality, literature is twice removed from reality or truth. Why? Because what the poet or the artist does, he copies the things what we see with our eyes, not the original idea. So original all the things in this world what we see, they are the copy of the idea, and what the poet or the artist does, he makes the copy of the copy. Means if the poet is writing a poem about a tree, so tree is always, tree is not original, tree is the copy of idea of the tree. This idea of the tree was in the mind of God, and God created nature, or God created all these human beings and nature and all whatever we see in this world, the sun, moon, earth, trees, nature, everything. That is a just copy of the idea in the mind. Idea came first in the mind of the God, and the word was created. So whatever we see in this world, anything, that is the copy of the idea. And what the poet says, the poet sees the nature, trees, flowers, and people, their life, and he portrays whatever he sees, observes in his art. So what is there? Then poets or the artist's work is copy of a copy. Means what is he copying? He's making the copy of the copy. So his work is twice removed. His art or the work is twice removed from the original idea, because the thing which he is copying is already copy of the idea, and the poet is copying or he making the copy of copy. So, and because of that, because it is copy of copy, it is not once but twice removed from reality, twice removed from the idea. So and because of that, it just poet just wants to give the likeness of the thing in concrete. Means what is there in concrete, what we see. For example, what if the poet sees a tree, then he just describes that tree in words. Or a painter, what he does, he draws the picture of that tree. So he just giving something which looks like that tree, nothing else. Means just he makes a copy. Just we draw the photo of something, and in the photo we find the same thing is pictured. So there is no difference between the photo and that person. So same thing happens. I mean, there is the tree or anything, and the poet is describing that something in his poetry, and just he is using the medium, that is, and in that medium he is describing, but he is not doing original thing. He is just making copy or making the photo of that something. So because of that, he is just trying to give the likeness, and which is not real. It is false. Though it looks like the poet's description of the tree is just like the tree itself, but means it looks like the tree, but it is not tree. It is just copy of that tree given in the form of the words. Or painter, when he draws the picture is the copy of the tree or that chair, whatever he draws the picture, but it is not that real chair, it is not that real tree what he copies. It is just a copy of that particular thing, and that particular thing is already a copy of the idea. So because of that, poets or painters drawing, or poet's poem, or any work the poet has written, that becomes the copy of the copy. It was the view, or it was the theory of, or it was the philosophy or theory of Plato, what he thought about poetry or literature. So, and because of that, Plato says that poets should be banished from his uh, ideal state, because Plato was idealist, and in his mind he had the idea, or the image, or he had imagined an ideal state. So he just thought about the ideal state, and in his ideal state he says that everything should be ideal. There is no place for any false things or false people. And according to him, poets are doing false things. They are copying something and telling that this is real. So they are telling lies, they are false, or they are telling us something false. So they are not good or ideal to live in the ideal state. So they do not have the place in Plato's ideal state, and they should be banished from that ideal state. They are not proper people to live in the ideal state. So it was the first accusation of Plato, that is called as philosophical, and this is the charge of Plato on poetry on philosophical ground, because he was idealist. So he he used that his philosophy as an idealist, and in that through that glass, or through that no, through the glasses of philosophy, or through the angle of philosophy, he just thought about poetry in his own way, in his own philosophical way, and he blamed poetry on philosophical ground. Next is moral ground. So what Plato says, that poetry does very harmful effect on the children's minds, and when children read poetry, it is misinterpreted by them. For example, he says that when children read the poetry in those days, in Plato's days, ancient Greece, Homer's poems were very famous, and they were in the syllabus. So he gives the example of Homer's poetry, and maybe other some poetry was also taught at that time. So he says that the hero or the villain can make any effect on them. So what the children read in that story or in that poem, it is about the villain or the hero. So they just make a very bad effect on them. And in Plato's time, Homer's epics were part of studies. So in those days, Homer's poems were studied. And Plato says that heroes of the epic are depicted as lusty, cunning, and cruel. So he thinks that Homer has depicted the heroes in his poem or his epics lusty and cunning, cruel, means very bad tempered or bad natured people. And even the gods are portrayed fighting among themselves. Means in the poems, the gods were they were epics, and in epics, as we have in Ramayana and Mahabharata, Ram, Krishna, like this. So there also in the Homer's epics, there were gods depicted, and he says that gods were fighting with each other. So this is not the good picture of gods portrayed in those poems. And when we teach children such type of false stories about gods and heroes, means the fighting gods or heroes behaving in a cruel manner or doing wrong things, so this is not good for children, because children will follow such type of things in their life, and it will make bad effect on their behavior or on their personality also. So they find bad effect in their they will create bad effect or bad false things in the mind of the children. And hence he says that the poetry or literature is not good, and on the moral ground he accuses that poetry or literature does not teach moral things, they teach immoral things, and so because of that the poets should be banished from the ideal state. The third ground is emotional ground. Now emotional ground means Plato was a moralist, we know, and he says that art is bad because it does not inspire virtue and it does not teach morality. So according to him, poetry feeds, waters, and nourishes the lower and unhealthy emotions. So what Plato thought about poetry, that poetry nurtures or it waters or it inspires unhealthy emotions, means or passions. Means when we read poetry, some people, if it's emotional, then we cry or it makes us cry. It is not good in Plato's view. So he says that poetry makes people weak or emotional, and it's not good for people. So poetry feels poison in people's, and again he says that poetry feels poison in people's mind, wrong things in people's mind. So and teaches immoral things to people. So on emotional ground also, because poetry makes people emotional, and because of that people become weak. So in the Plato says that on emotional ground also poetry is not good. So these are the three grounds Plato accused of poetry. And I think you have understood all these three grounds on which Plato accused of poetry. In the next lecture we'll try to understand how Aristotle gave answers to these accusations, and how he so in the next lecture we'll try to understand Aristotle's defense of poetry, how he objects to these accusations and how he makes defense of poetry. Okay.